Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Charity Charge Show. Once again, if you're a nonprofit leader out there listening in, we're all about supporting nonprofits here at Charity Charge. We do that through this podcast and interview series, and also through our, free financial tools and services. So if y'all need anything like that, feel free to reach out. Kedrick, thank you for coming on the show. Today, we are joined by the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Texas. They are all about empowering today's and tomorrow's youth through their amazing services out here in Austin, Texas, and across Central Texas. Kedrick, tell me a little bit more about the work that y'all are doing.
Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. The work we're doing here at Big Brothers Big Sisters, I believe, is we're igniting and defending the potential of today's youth and tomorrow's youth. As I grow older, the best thing I can do for myself is to make sure that the youth that are making decisions after me and they become adults are making decisions that will affect me as I become older. But we're definitely here to match caring adults with young people who need just a friend, a support, or what have you. That's what we do. We match adults with young people, and we just see where they go from there. We think that mentoring is one of the best avenues to pour into a young person's life. And so that's our business.
Well, that is incredible, and I'm so excited to dive into like the services and platform and community that you provide for our community here in Central Texas. But I really want to dive into first your personal background.
All right.
You grew up and I think connected closely with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Texas, correct?
Uh-huh. Yeah, ironically enough, before our current location, we were in another location a little deeper in East Austin. And ironically enough, me and my mother, we literally live right behind them, shared a fence with Big Brother, a property line with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. But even after that, I never had the inkling that I would ever, walk in their doors or even become part of this mission. But life has its own way of bringing you to where you are. But I'm an East Austin kid. I'm a product of Austin ISD. I'm a public school kid. The work that I do now in serving youth and youth development and youth advocacy started over 20 years ago. I had the fortunate opportunity to go back to my old high school and work with another youth entity, communities and schools. And that really gave me my first inkling that I liked working with young people in a capacity, maybe not outside of the formal traditional school process, but making just as deep impact on a young person's life. And through that sparked it. Later on, I went to go work for Austin ISD and Pflugerville
Mhm.
ISD in some after school programming leadership positions. And then from there, it took me to the Boys and Girls Club. I did 9 years there of the local Boys and Girls Club here in Austin, and I started off on the ground level, essentially, being a club director and was dealing with youth day to day. By the time I left, I was a COO, and because one thing I realized is that I remember being the young guy down on the rung and thinking, man, the people at the top, they don't know what they're doing. They make all these dumb decisions, and we got to deal with them. But the only way to affect change is you have to become change. So I had to, you know, move my way up or, matriculate through the ladder and found myself as a COO, but never trying to forget that how I felt when I was down at the bottom. I always try to manage and lead, thinking about how it's really going to affect the most least tenured person or on in our program or in our entity. And I try to be, a man of the people, so to speak. But I left there 2 years ago. The Big Brother Big Sisters of Central Texas had an opening for CEO, and here I am. The stars aligned, and they trusted me for this season that is now, and I'm enjoying every minute of it, learning a lot along the way, and still trying to change youth one day at a time. But the fortunate thing about this, our building, and even when I was working previously at the clubs, it's in the zip code I grew up in, 723 is my zip code. I've walked up and down these streets. I've lived up and down this zip code all of my early life. So to be a Central Texas kid, myself, and an East Austin kid, now helping Central Texas kids and East Austin kids has been nothing but a dream come true.
That is incredible, and what a great journey and kind of path that has brought you to today. Um, there's a lot that I want to unpack with that
For sure.
answer. I want to kind of start. What techniques, what strategies do you use now as kind of the CEO to make sure that decision that you are making is considering that entire organization as a whole? How do you bring that, that lowest rung, the person
Yeah.
getting boots on the ground? How do you bring them up in that decision-making process, and how are you making sure that their, needs are being met too?
Yeah, knowing if you're the leader that think you got all the answers, you're gonna do a bad job. I'm always try to be inclusive, and get opinions and thoughts of people who have more experience than me or have more knowledge or how it's gonna really affect them. Because yeah, I see it one way and I'm thinking top down, but I really don't know once I make this decision of what it sounds good, but in theory, it sounds like it's a good plan, but does it really work? And so really asking the people that it's going to affect, if we make this choice and we turn this corner, what happens to you? What happens to the program? What happens to the kids? So making those decisions, with now at the end of the day, I know it's still my decision, but having as much information as possible is very key to how I try to think and lead and cast vision and things like that.
I love that, and putting yourself in their shoes, bringing in their perspective as much as possible, how important that is. Another thing that you brought up is that point of transition 2 years ago. Within the nonprofit space, transition is everywhere and it's constant. How has it been stepping into that new role as CEO, coming in with your experiences, your background, coming into a new organization?
Hmm.
How was that learning process? Now, 2 years in, does it
Yeah,
feel like you have your boots under you? Are you in stable ground yet? Or are you still in
it's
that kind
it's
of
it's a
still
lot. When you're COO, you got one area that you worry about, and that's it. Like operations, I was like, hey, I just make sure it's going. Strategy with that. Now stepping into this, it's so many more facets. It's from fundraising to operations to being stewardship of the money, stewardship of the people and stakeholders. It's always something. It's not just one facet of it. Learning, and I've been in youth development for, like I said, over 20 years. But this was still I had to learn a new way to do it. The big brothers, big sisters, one-on-one mentoring model, is totally different than where I came from when everything was like in groups or it was just a different setup. So learning that, learning a different terminology, another system of reporting, all the other things, and still learning how to be a CEO, and be effective and learning and trying to feel my own way through it. It's an ongoing process. If somebody tells you that they can just walk into this and just have all the answers and just yeah, they're fooling themselves. It's an ongoing journey. Every day I hope is better than the day before.
looking back, your time at COO, anything in these past 2 years that you would tell your, past self? Any perspective shift that you've maybe gained over this time that, you wish you maybe knew back then?
Would have paid more attention. My job as COO, I feel like I was spending the money and burning through it for operationally. I would tell myself, learn how you're getting it in the door and how it really affects the bottom line and get it and figure out more ways to get more money in the door as possible.
Well, that's a great, point of transition. It's been a crazy year in terms of funding for nonprofits. There's a lot of uncertainty at multiple levels. How are you approaching it right now? How are you, setting up your organization, with, its history to be prepared and, have a diversified set of revenue going into the future?
Exactly. The philanthropic landscape right now, it's nobody knows day to day, week to week, month to month, where it's gonna be. You can make a plan and then because of an administration change or just the stock market doing too much weird stuff, people get real tight with their money. And so our thing here is continue to build a network of support and stakeholders, and mission minded people who believe in what we're doing. Like we just had our ice ball gala a few weeks ago. It's one of our biggest fundraisers, but also, in that, not being complacent and thinking that because we made some money in one night that we can stop.
Mm.
We have to keep ongoing with our fundraising efforts, being smart about it. And because also here, unlike, the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club, we don't charge for service. So there is no fees. So everything that we spend, we have to raise. There is nothing that we can just depend on, like this certain amount of revenue from serving kids. So that is something we're desperately, trying to, put in our coffers and save for that rainy day or that rainy season.
I think I read it's about $2,200
Yes.
to support one of the kids within your services. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. We call it, if you, the average of a match, the cost of it per year is $2,200.
Just talk a little bit more about that and that kind of donor relationship. How do you view your, responsibility and your role at the organization in terms of managing those donor relationships? Where have you seen some successes and where have you seen some challenges in those conversations?
Oh, yeah. Owner stewardship, that's another thing having to, learn and step into. COO was kinda behind the scenes. The CEO, was more the face and, the connection to the agency. I had my own connection with certain stakeholders, but here, they all looking to me, and I'm having to it's all it's akin to being a politician. You kinda out there kissing babies, shaking hands all the time, and, and trying to, keep people, it's like, "Vote for me, vote for BBBS," right? It's one of those kind of things, but, I'm trying to cast a vision and get people to buy in to how I see things and moving into a new age of service delivery, and we have some long-term stakeholders, and honestly, some have said, they went on to some other, supporting other entities and things like that, and that's to be expected. We're gonna do our best to woo them back, but it's, constant communication and always trying to figure out where we can find more stakeholders, how and who in their network can we reach out to even further. It's a never ending game of telephone and connectivity, but it's had its challenges because they ask questions that are very poignant about where we are, how we're doing, how is maybe the presidential administration affecting what we're doing. You have some real in-depth conversations sometimes, and then some are more superficial, but being ready to answer them all as it relates to the business that we're doing and supporting young people is still where the conversation ends.
And that's a great answer. And as you said, there's so many conversations that must take place probably as that CEO in terms of representing your organization in that donor side.
Yeah.
And something that I've kind of seen from these conversations is that something that's becoming more and more important is the kind of transparency and accountability to the donors in terms of where that money is going and what the impact that it's making is.
Hmm.
With your background as COO on the operations side, how important is to have that operational clarity and structure so you're able to communicate clearly to your donors like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is where your money is going. Here's the impact it's making." Are you seeing that that's like key importance for your
Yeah,
donors?
it's just with anything, it's no different than somebody investing in the stock market. If you investing and when we tell people to invest in young people, you wanna know what the ROI is on that. That's just, basic business. And so having those answers to say, "Hey, well, this amount of money goes to this program, and this amount of money goes to this program, or X amount goes to overhead, or it goes to salaries," you have to answer and account for all of that money and be a good steward and diligent in those practices so that, people trust you because it's a trust. You're building trust with donors. And the more that they can see that their money is going to the thing that they intended it for it to go to and helping young people, I think strengthens our case to go back and ask for more money down the road.
I love that, yeah. I think I read, every dollar that y'all invest brings $3 back to our community, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And, where are y'all seeing that, come from? Is that through, the youth kind of building their own personal skills, bringing that back, getting strong jobs? Where is that really coming from?
So there was a study done between the wonderful IRS and the University of Harvard that looked back at over through the course of BBBS as a whole, as a nationwide organization, nationwide organization that found out that our bigs, I mean, that once a kid has a mentor, their earning potential in their life is greater and more akin to their mentor than that of their home of birth and where they grew up. So by having
It
a
takes it away
mentor.
from that zip code correlation.
Yes. So, it's a fact. Research is done to say that, having a mentor, well, I'm going to say having a mentor, of course. I'm sure there's some other factors, but the study says, and that was the gist of the study, that having a mentor and is more akin to your greater earning potential in your life of your mentor than your own home that you were born into.
That's incredible. Well, as we look to the rest of the year, you mentioned that y'all just had that big dollar wrap up. Anything
Mhm.
else on the time horizon that you're excited for?
I'm excited as well. We're going toward the end of the year. We have an end of year campaign, well, I guess it's all year campaign. Now I'm learning that with this job, the whole year is a campaign, right? You might call it something different. Every month is a campaign, right? But and so it's fundraising, but by end of the year campaign is coming, and we have a wonderful celebration also at the end of the year with Circuit of Americas and the Edge Car Addicts. They have a big Christmas party for our youth, and our littles out there, take them around the track, and they give gifts, and it's just a big time of celebration to wrap up the end of the year.
Amazing. And how would people out here in Austin get involved with that?
If they want to get involved with that or just and we could get them plugged in, I would go to bigmentoring.org. That's our website, and that's our same handle on Instagram. And you drop us a line, a DM or something, we'll get back in touch with you and tell you how you can also pour into young people's lives.
Incredible. And for our nonprofit audience out there listening in, what's one last maybe piece of advice that you'd leave with them? Within these crazy times.
Yeah.
What's something that
I
you
would
want them
say,
to hear?
something that I learned along the way that I never thought as a leader, if you're gonna lead a nonprofit, what I've learned is you're gonna become or you're gonna learn some accounting skills because yeah, you trying to raise the money and get money in the door, but yeah, how do you steward it? How do you report on it? How do you forecast for it? How do you read ledgers? I'm like now like a first level accountant because I know so much accounting information that I never knew before, but it will help you along the journey when you understand the accounting side of running a nonprofit because it's just a lot more to it. We're not just selling widgets and you sell this, you make this, you sell this, you make that. No, it's this goes here and this goes there and this, then you got grants, you got all these other things, and you have to account for all of that and report on it all. So have some accounting background or get somebody really good in your door that has it with you.
Incredible. Well, to our audience, thank you for tuning in to the show today. And once again, outside of the podcast, if you'll ever need any help in terms of, a nonprofit business credit card or anything like that, feel free to reach out. Kedrick, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit more about your background. East Austin native, now running as CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's an incredible story, and y'all are making a true impact in our community here. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing about the work that you're doing. And I hope that our community listening in taps in and goes out to that big event at the Circuit of Americas.
Man, I appreciate it too.
Appreciate
And
you.
thank you, man. Thank you so much.